All right, so we are live on YouTube. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Thankful Thursday. And I'm going to turn it on over to you, Dove, Sharon, Lori. The mic is all yours.
Well, good morning. Good morning to everyone in the room. I see Karen and Bob and Lynn and Deb and Dove and Sharon. And I was thinking earlier how much I love Thankful Thursday, so much that I go to pickleball late and only get to play pickleball a little bit. Um, and that's how much I love Thankful Thursday. And really, truly, if seek first the kingdom of God and all things will be added unto you. God comes first, and I really connect with God with all of my mighty companions here, so it's such a blessing. Today we're on lesson 254. Let every voice but God's be still in me. Ken says, we return to the theme of stilling the ego's voice, meaning that I turn away from it. I listen to its lies and say, this is not what I want. I no longer wish to live my life in pursuit of the idols of specialness, nor live in constant anger and fear. I was listening to Regina Dawn Akers' Inner Ramana the other day, and it said that the mind is as loud as your willingness to listen to it. And the Course says, we hear the Holy Spirit's voice to the degree that we are willing to listen. And it said that if you just stop listening to the mind, if you stop taking an interest in it, stop taking an interest in what your mind chatter is saying and go back to whatever course lesson you want as a mantra, like this one, let every voice but God's be still in me. And the mantra in the Inner Ramana is, I am that I am. And just keep doing that. Well, it'll be quiet. It's like a little kid throwing a temper tantrum or a dog yapping. If you give them attention, they'll keep on. And behavioral studies show that intermittent reinforcement is actually more powerful than constant, regular reinforcement. So, like with the rats pressing the lever to get food, if they press it 50 times and they get a little pellet, and then they press it 100 times and they get a little pellet, or and then they press it 150 times and they get a little pellet, well, they'll just keep pressing and pressing and pressing because it's not regular and fixed. And so we have to withdraw all attention away from the ego's voice and say, you know what? I'm not listening to you. I'm just not listening. I'm not interested in you anymore. And that's something that probably most of us have noticed as we've evolved. Um, and even saying as we've evolved is not really true because we are home with God now. We're whole and complete and perfect with God now. It's only the ego, the linear time, that seems to have an evolution. But probably what most of us have noticed is that our mind has naturally gotten quieter, just naturally. And also, I don't know about you guys, but I'm not interested in the stories anymore. I'm not interested in mine. I'm interested in other people's, to the point that I connect with them and join with them in the truth of their being, of course, which is not their story. But, that's a lot of times how we connect. But it's the stories of this life are just so boring anymore. It's like, oh, been over that 1,000 million times. I'm just not interested anymore. It's yesterday's newspaper, right? So, and I want to say hello to Sally and Mickey, who joined right after we started. So the first paragraph says, Father, today I would but hear your voice. In deepest silence, I would come to you to hear your voice and to receive your word. I have no prayer but this. I come to you to ask you for the truth, and truth is but your will, which I would share with you today. That reminds me of, do I want to know what I have denied because it is the truth? The last unanswered question. Do I want the truth above all else? And good morning, Roger. And do I want that truth? Do I want it because I want a happier life? Do I want the truth because I want a better body, a better relationship, just doing more things that I enjoy? Or do I want the truth because it is the truth? And that gets back to seek first the kingdom of God, and all things will be added unto you. Do I want the truth first? And I'm pretty sure everyone in this room would say yes. I want the truth above all else. And so we let every voice but God's be still in me. And Ken says to that paragraph, I realize there is nothing here I want, nothing I choose to seek, nothing for which I pray. I want only to forgive, that I return to sanity. This return is based on realizing my mistaken choice so I can make a better one. Forgiveness instead of anger, truth instead of illusion. This then is my prayer, and this is from chapter 3, section 5. The only meaningful prayer is for forgiveness, because those who have been forgiven have everything. Once forgiveness has been accepted, prayer in the usual sense becomes utterly meaningless. The prayer for forgiveness is nothing more than a request that you may be able to recognize what you already have. And we feel that. We feel that in the silence. When we read these words, it's like, yeah, I know that this is what I am. I know I am the holy child of God. And we hear so often in course meetings or even on here in Gather, I feel it. I know it. It's my reality. And then I put the book down and I go back into the world and I forget it all. But what's happening here is that with our dedication and our lack of interest in any voice but God's, is that it starts carrying with us. And I love the line in chapter 18, section 7, I need do nothing, my favorite section in the entire course, where it says, this quiet center will go with you on every busy doing. And so we never lose contact with God anymore. And it's just, what a gift. I mean, that's the only gift. So with that, I'm turning this over to Sharon.
Thanks, Lori. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Hello, Karen. Hello, Roger. Hello, Lori and Lynn. And who else is here? I can't see Mickey. I know she said Mickey. I can't see it on my screen, but yeah, and Dove. Yeah. Anyway, so it is a good morning. And it's interesting. On Tuesday, I shared for quite a while. I have like an hour on Tuesday mornings about Ho'oponopono, but I'm going to talk about that in a second and just say, Lori, what I had brought up Tuesday was it seems like this particular group is all on the same page. Because for me not to be interested in the news or anything like that is shocking. But it's almost what Ken Wapnick has always taught is that we're puppets. We are being moved. Our progress has to do with the divine. It's not any person doing anything. It's all God. And so I've lost interest in the world of form to a point where it's a little surprising, but I also have a backup when the mind blurts and I want the mind to still, it's just this, I'm sorry, please forgive me. And I used to think that can't work. I mean, that's not real. Well, it is when you're in this place now. It's just like taking a hose and just putting out that fire. You know, you just kind of just use, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you, and that's it. Now, yesterday I was at an elementary school and it was a good day. I had a great day with the kids. I must have picked up something. The dream figure, Sharon, has a cold now. But other than that, it was a really good day. But I made a prayer, like a meditation with the Ho'oponopono. And that's because of where this mind is right now. It's in the present. And yesterday I found that with the children, I was more present than ever. the mind wasn't slipping and sliding and all of that. And so the responsibility for sight actually comes from the Holy Spirit. In fact, everything here is the Holy Spirit. It's the whole mind that's waking up. And it is an exciting thing to be in a place where even specialness doesn't seem to matter that much, because there's just clarity that comes through, that you just stay as the observer. And if the thoughts come up, then it's just quick prayer of Ho'oponopono. But sometimes I put it on as music and I just walk around cleaning or whatever I have to do, because it's soothing for the right mind. It's the soul. It's who we are. So I too have Ken Wapnick's Journey Through the Workbook. When we choose, the choosing is from the mind, of course. It's from the decision maker. And it's very, very tricky when you think you're the person, because the person doesn't do anything. It's mind that's doing it. It's mind that's saying enough is enough. I don't need any more stories. And just like Lorri, I do talk to people about their stories because I want to connect on that level. However, I don't need to anymore. And my story is just about the most boring story. They're stories of what's even going on. What I'm watching now as a movie is just Groundhog Day. That's all this is. Every time they have an advertisement about the political, fear out there, it's the same old, because it's a script and it's a repeat. And when I believe the story, I am truly sleeping. But believing I'm up, believing that the story is real, right? Because that's truly the way it works. But, to remember that the mind is in control of this, not the body mind, the mind, meaning the decision part of the mind that says, no more, And what did the stories do for me? Well, they brought a different energy, that's for sure. The energy of truth is so, it's just so peaceful. It just has this consistency that you do not get in the ego. The ego is more of a rackety, it's just loud. And I think that the mind of the, of the decision maker got addicted to it until it didn't, because that's what it seems like, But why would I even care what's going on out there when there's nothing going on out there? It's all just imagined. It's my imagination at work, creating more and more drama. When I recollect that I got into the 12 steps, like maybe over 20 years ago, I remember them saying, we don't do drama anymore. Hell, they do. If they still have an ego, they do. But I did feel better when I would say that. I did feel better because the right mind's always there to a point. But, it's also becoming unveiled as the power. The force is the ego. There's no power in the ego. The ego's thought. Thought can't do anything but think. And it just thinks, and then it just loops around with another thought. And I thought it always meant something, and it doesn't. It doesn't. But who was the one that thought that? Well, no other than the ego. And the ego is only talking to the ego. It can't talk to anything else because there's no entity there. There's just an appearance of one. We are truly emptiness dancing around a screen of we think that is visible. And, with all the grievances that we can count, because that's what I always had. When I started to feel sick yesterday, I watched my mind and it didn't make up a story of a grievance on how I might have gotten this, because usually it has a story, I do feel elementary school is a lot of fun, but the really young years, they're a little harder for me now. A little bit. Like I have kids come here to my house that are young, and then I have them also in 4th and 5th grade. But when I go and I teach, I welcome every kind of, grade, because I want to see where I'm at. And sometimes the little ones, they have to go to the bathroom every minute. And after a while, it's just one big exhaustion. Where when I go to the high school, the junior high, I pretty much just observe, where elementary school, you do teach. You have to. It's just part of your job. And see, I didn't want to lose that because the engagement with children is my happy place, you know? But now I have a happy place that's more powerful than anything else. And that is the truth of who I am. This is real happiness. This is the happiness that the Course promises us and the joy. So, you know, to say I don't like something out there is to say that I believe there's something out there. That's the whole point. You know, A Course in Miracles, I've been listening a lot to Brent Haskell's books. Lynn sent them to me, but I also had them myself from Dove years ago. And it's so clear that he comes and says, Kelly Love says, you're God. Who else would you be if you're not God? So wear the crown. He doesn't say that. But it's just so perfect because I listened to it all morning before I went to work yesterday. When I work, I get up around 4. I'm very, very in love with the morning. In fact, when Cliff and I went away last week to Rehoboth, we got up very early before the sun came up. We love to do that. And we went on the beach and it was so much fun. It was so beautiful. And I remember even then the mind would come in and say, God, it's only 6, it's only 7. And it would be like, there is no time. Because what's happening is I'm teaching myself to stay steady and to silence that character that's talking to itself. It's not talking to me and it's not my voice. You know, I always thought, well, I have a nice ego. Well, there is no ego. But if you do believe that you have a nice ego, you're mistaken because it's all hate. It's all judgment. And judgment is hate, right? So the I don't know comes in. Course in Miracles is becoming alive for me. And, you know, I'm more of an audio learner than I am a reader. So I listen to the Course on Audible sometimes. I read it too, but I also was listening to Kelly Love. And there's so much in the Journey Without Distance. I think it's called, you know, Beyond, well, whatever. They're downstairs. I can't get them now, but they're 2 books that Brent Haskell scribed. And they are fabulous if you want an experience. And what is the Course? Course in Miracles is about experience. It's not about what you know or what line you know or, you know, what platitude works. It does in the beginning and it does for years or months or whatever. But when you realize that you've never been in a world, how about that one? You've been talking to yourself in a dream and all the figures are you. What could be the problem then when you know they're all God? You know, now what is God? God is love. Love has no opposing anything. Love is just love. It's the steadiness. The ego thinks love's boring. I think it's delicious. I think it's the whole nectar of why we are doing this for so long. But I always thought Sharon, was the one that was on this path. And honestly, it's an unveiling. There's no path really. It's truly a journey without distance. You can only be here now, right? You know, I still, when I see friends that suffer physically, I have a lot of empathy because that I had for years. And Lorri had mentioned that, I think, last week about what I had for years. And it was a distraction, certainly created by my mind, but it was the most ridiculous pain. I had it all the time, you know, and sometimes I couldn't help but express it, but it's all gone. Now, do I still have pain? Of course, I still have sensations, but and I'm not saying that I just caught a cold, you know, and that's a blip in the screen, I guess, because, you know, who caught the cold? A thought caught the cold. It's a thought. It's an image. When I am leaving this world that I didn't even come into, I just want to know that. I just want to know that I'm not losing anything. I thought the story of Sharon was so important. And what she did and her accomplishments and all of the hell she went through, it's all made up. The memory of God comes to the quiet mind. With the ego's voice silenced by our decision, the mind is quiet. I have a memory when I was a child that I'd listen to the shells on the beach, and the silence was the attraction. because silence is the thing that's meeting silence. When silence appears as the one sun, it's seeing itself. That's all it is. Because there's never been real eyes that see. The eyes are a camera. They're showing me what I'm believing. But if I have no belief, then they just look like nothing. They do look like a cartoon. And this cartoon is rather interesting at times. But I can say one thing that I learned very early on the path, and it was Sailor Bob that taught me that. This is all happening by itself. We are being moved to be good students, or we are being moved to talk. Like, I was giving so much credit to everyone but myself, thinking they were so fabulous. And that's just another ego distraction. Because the only one that can ever wake us up is the one inside, that love. It wakes us up and it shows us that whatever we do here is absolutely meaningless unless we are encompassed with love. Because love is all there is. And as a child, I was such a romantic. I would watch Love is a Many Splendor thing, Splendor in the Grass, and I'd cry. And I was in love with love. Why? Because I was missing love. That is our natural state. Love. It's something that you can't describe, but it's all is well, and all was always well. So that silence, I can feel it now. And with that, I'm going to turn this over to Dove Fishman. And thank you, Dove, for all your wisdom all these years. And if I ever gave you a problem, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. Okay, pick up the mic, Dove.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Sharon. I like what you said. You can't describe love. Well, it's obvious that nothing can describe love, because love is unconditional. It's unlimited. It's nothing could describe it. If you could describe it, it wouldn't be unlimited and all there is. Who was there to describe it? I was looking at today's lesson like everybody else, and I usually do Ken Wapnick's commentary, which I put up here in the. He usually does outside of the journey through the workbook. He has a 1 or 2 sentence thing, and I always use that because he focuses on the content. The content is, let every voice but God be still in me. That's the lesson. And he says, I want only, key word is only, to forgive. And if you listen to Ken Wapnick, he'll say that's the only job I have in this world. The only thing I need to do in this world, certainly not to save the world. People say, well, I'll make the world better. I'll save the world. I'll do my part. No, there is no world. He tells you that, lesson 132. There is no world. What is it that you're saving? No, that's the ego talking to you. I'm going to do my part in making the world a better world. That's the ego, because the ego doesn't want you to look at the rest of what Ken Wapnick says. I want only to forgive, which means to wake up, to remember that I'm doing this to myself, that I return to sanity. This world is insane. He tells you that 250 times. The world is insane. And you're insane to believe that there's a world. This return is based on realizing my mistaken choice. Yeah, so we all chose to make this identity for ourselves called the body. And I think I don't know if it was here, no, it was probably Maureen's on Wednesday morning. The body was made to deceive the Son of God so that he doesn't remember the truth of what he is. And obviously, after eons, yeah, this is me. Don't I look good? No, that's a deception. We set out to deceive. That's exactly what it is. And we did a good job. I mean, the ego made this world to keep the Son of God from knowing that he has a mind to choose again. Oh, how could I choose again? The world is already here. I had nothing to do with it. Goes on to say, return is based on realizing my mistaken choice so I can make a better one. The choice has nothing to do with this world. It's forgiveness. Instead of being upset, anger, truth instead of illusion. So the purpose that I had chosen that got me here, which was way back in 72 during my spiritual awakening rebirth, was to love the truth. That was given to me actually as a vision of me standing in a garden with a T-shirt, like a Superman shirt that said, love the truth. And that's what I decided to do. It got me to S in 75. And I always say, without S, I would never have picked up the Course in Miracles in 77. So everything works perfectly, absolutely perfectly. I really need do nothing. And you know, even though those 4 words, I need do nothing, which appears in chapter 18, section 7, he says, this will save you a century of thinking you got to do anything. And that's really what this lesson is all about. It's really about quieting my mind, stilling my mind. God is heard in stillness and calm and quietness and tranquility. And he tells you that in the final lesson. Yeah. Let me step back and let you lead the way. The Holy Spirit sees all the same. That's stillness. My willingness to see all the same, to include all equally, without any thought of any kind of difference, is the stillness that this course is asking us to enter into. And I was very fortunate to come across lesson 189. I guess it was meant to be, as they say, beshert. It was beshert. It was meant to be that I came across lesson 189 the very first time I went through the lesson book. And he says, lesson 189, I feel the love of God within me now. How can you feel the love of God within you in a world that looks like this? How could you feel the love of God? What love? What are you talking about? So he gives you an answer in paragraph 7, which turns out to be Ken Wapnick's favorite paragraph in the entire course. And I came across the same I didn't even know Ken Wapnick at that time. I came across the same paragraph. This is what it said. How do you feel the love of God? Simply do this. Be still. There's the word stillness again. Be still. Do not take one thought of what you are. You don't know who you are. You think you're this. You're not this. This is a dummy. Yeah. Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCarthy. This is Charlie McCarthy, the puppet. And ego is Edgar Bergen, the puppeteer. Simply do this. Be still. Do not take with you one thought of what you are. Not one thought of what God is. You don't know what God is. You think God is some God knows what watching you. No, none of that is true. Remember, love the truth. So he's telling you, let go of everything that is untrue. That's exactly what the rest of that lesson is. I'm trying to bring it to words out of my memory, but this is kind of what he says. He says, do not take with you one thought that you ever thought was true or real or good or right. Nothing that you were ever ashamed of. I guess I had a lot to be ashamed of. I did. I wet the bed until I was 16 years old. Imagine going to camp when I was 12. The only time I ever went to camp. You can be sure I didn't stay the whole season. Parents came to visit on visiting day. Get me out of here. It's a terrible ordeal. So, shame is my middle name. Forget everything that you are ashamed of. Forget this world. Well, okay, I guess I could forget this world. That's the same thing as get me out of here. And then he says, forget this book. Forget this course. I said, what? You give me 1,300 pages and I'm halfway through and you tell me to forget this course? And something happened over here. And all of a sudden I realized I wasn't reading a book. I read many books, This wasn't a book. This was something that came from outside this world. Because when I did X, I realized that no self-respecting ego would ever give you 1,300 pages and tell you to forget it. Egos don't do that. At that moment, I accepted this course as truth, even though it's not the truth. It's still symbols. It's concepts. It's not truth. I said the only truth in this course, if you want to find truth, is the two words, God is. It's an isness. Not even the word God means anything. That's a symbol. It's an isness, as Mandy likes to say. Isness is your only business. Yeah. And with that, I'll say, does anyone out there have any thoughts or questions? And if not, we'll turn it back on over to Lorri. If anyone wants to say something, please do. If not, Lorri, Mike is all yours.
Okay, thanks. That was great, Dove. I had never heard you tell the story about your epiphany with lesson 189. Wow, that's awesome. That is awesome. And that is probably one of the most often quoted paragraphs in the entire course because it's so beautiful. And I had the same feeling about A Course in Miracles when it said, forget this course, and said, this is only one course of many. I said, oh, perfect. This is good. It's not trying to tell me I have to follow it. And I remember some friends of mine who were not course students, and they misinterpreted the introduction that said this is a required course. And they thought that it meant they had to take A Course in Miracles itself. And I said, no, that's not what it means. It's a required course that you come back to your true identity as God, as part of God, as the holy child of God. And but I don't think they listened to me. But anyway, gosh, what you guys were saying was so great. I took all these notes, and like when I was saying earlier, do you want to know the truth? Do you want to know what you have denied because it is the truth? And then Dov, you were saying God is the truth. Love is the truth. And it's like, oh yeah. Oh yeah. But the ways that we define love is like what you were saying, Dov. We can't define love. We think love is, like you say, saving the world or being in a good relationship, and that's not love here, because that is limited. And I love how you said we can't even define love because love is unlimited. And I had a wonderful experience with a line in the course yesterday that said, it's from chapter 8, section 8. I mean, chapter 18, section 8, the little garden. And it says, love knows no bodies. It reaches to everything created like itself. Oh, and reaches to everything created like itself. Its total lack of limit is its meaning. And that reminds me of what you were saying this morning, that love is unlimited. Because I had been feeling, I expressed it at my course meeting on Tuesday night, like, I've let go of everything in the world. It just doesn't interest me. And I agree with you, Sharon, when you say that. It's shocking that you're not interested in the news. Shocking and wonderful. And but I was feeling like, but I haven't solidified into the Christ self yet, or into the awareness or the present moment fully enough. I mean, it's there a lot. I mean, of course, it's always there. It's my awareness of it is not always there. So I felt like, well, I've given up everything, but I haven't experienced enough of being the self to actually to live in it fully all the time. And Karen, I see your hand, and I'm going to say a few more words and then get to you, and then you can turn it over to Sharon. So the other thing I wanted to comment on what you said, Dove, was commenting on I need do nothing, and that this saves a century of contemplation. And that's what I felt when I read that section, which I said is my favorite section in the course. And I saw that it's like, if you get this, I need do nothing, and it'll save you a century of contemplation and study. And it's like, oh wow, I love this. This is great, because I'm all about efficiency, and I'm not lazy, but I like easy. I like how Regis says that. I like easy. And that's easy. I need do nothing, because I was a workaholic up until I was 40, 45, about 40 years old. And then I went, I'm a workaholic and I don't want to be a workaholic. And I started saying every day is a vacation day. And it took a couple years to integrate that, but every day is a vacation day in my life. I have a fabulous life. Um, and then I wanted to just comment on one more thing, and then I'll turn it over to you, Karen. I was like you, or obviously, Sharon, when you said that you would watch those romantic movies and everything. And Splendor in the Grass, I think that's the one with Natalie Wood and Warren Beatty. Oh my goodness, I was like, ah. And then when I got older, I just realized and did the course. I went, oh my God, what I have defined as love is hate. It's ego hatred. That movie is one of the saddest movies ever. And oh, I was the same way with Gone with the Wind. Oh my goodness. But they're really sad because they lose each other in the end. And poor Natalie Wood, she goes into a mental hospital because she is labeled horrible for having sex or being in love with this guy. And then he thinks she's gone forever, and she comes out of the mental hospital. He's married to someone else, and she goes to visit him, and here's his wife is totally pregnant. And it's like, oh my God. But in the past, I did not even see how awful that was. Yeah, Lynn, that movie broke my heart. I was so attracted to breaking heart stuff that no wonder every relationship I had ended up. And I mean, when I was with Rod, I used to just think, oh, it's going to be so awful when we're no longer together. I used to think that all the time. Talk about the ego attraction to death. Oh my God. So I didn't even know what love was. I mean, I did, in the sense of I still do. I love every man I have ever been with. I love every person. Now, men, women, it doesn't matter. It's love. It's just love. So I do know what love is, and I am it. But back then, I confused love with death. It was crazy. Ego crap. And I am so, so, so grateful to be free of that. And so I'm going to turn this over to Karen, and then when you're done, turn it over to Sharon. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks, Lori. Thanks, Dove. Thanks, Sharon. Yeah, I love that section too. I need do nothing. And that always reminds me of the truly helpful prayer, because I need do nothing but let him lead the way, you know. I don't have to worry about what to say or what to do because he who sent me will direct me. I mean, this course is all about surrendering. And I love what you guys are talking about love. And I just want to read this short thing that Keith Kavanaugh said that I love. He says, everything is love, knowing it's love, and being love. Or everything is love, not knowing it's love, and being love. So everything is love. It's either love or a call for love. It doesn't matter what it looks like. And that's what the course is teaching me. And I think that's what the course is teaching everyone in general. Because in lesson 127, he tells us there is no love but God's. And then he goes into it, why? That we think there are different kinds of loves. We think there's degrees and we think there's distinctions. But love's meaning is obscure to anyone who thinks that love can change. Love cannot judge. It is a law without an opposite. There can never be a difference in what you really are and what love is. There is no love but God's. And I think all of us went through that kind of love, that sacrifice, that painful love, that we thought that was love, and that is not love. That is the love that I for me was what we were taught in Catholic school. It was all about sacrifice. And that's how we showed our love for God. We sacrificed, like Jesus sacrificed on the cross for our sins. And we were supposed to sacrifice. So I love this lesson, and I love what Dove shared. Thank you, Dove, for sharing that, because I think it's being ashamed. Most of the things we are ashamed of is of the body, right? I mean, yes, we may be ashamed of some thoughts, true, but usually it has to do with the form. What am I ashamed of? I wet the bed. What am I ashamed of? I could say for me right now, it's as a result of my surgery, the way my back looks, the way my body looks. It looks, to me, it looks deformed. But the course says that it's the thoughts that are deformed that makes you believe that it's your mind. You're projecting that there's deformed thoughts onto your mind. I'm paraphrasing what the psychotherapy pamphlet says, because the form is not real. The form is not the truth of what we are. And I believe this is the best classroom that I could have right now, because I'll tell you something, I am learning lessons galore. I thought it was hard enough, like a hard enough classroom, just having gone through 2 surgeries and the stuff I'm dealing with through that still. But now I have a whole nother issue as a result of the surgery that's like blowing my mind. I just am like kind of still in shock over it. I'm like, I can't believe this shit's happening. Like, what is this for? I don't know. I don't know what it's for. But I know that when I step back, that the Holy Spirit will lead the way. And I trust that all things do work together for good, because everything always does. The worst thing that ever happened, I thought, in my life was when my husband committed suicide, but it all worked together for good. It led me to the course. It led me to true forgiveness. It led me to really recognize, what love is and what real forgiveness is and what true prayer is, and so many things that I didn't know before. So I am on a journey, as Sharon said, without distance. It's only right here, right now, and everything is happening perfectly. I also love what Ken says in the commentary, where he says that we first must look at what we are choosing against. And let me see, I wrote a little note in today's lesson, something Ken said about choosing against the ego. He said, the way you choose against your ego is you look at it. That's basically what he's saying here. So the way we choose against the ego is we look at it. So I've been looking at these thoughts, all these thoughts that are going through my mind, all these beliefs, all this stuff. And I recognize that I am making this up, that my interpretation is not a fact, because the fact is nothing happens. The fact is, I am still as God created me. That's the truth. That is the truth. But this is not a course in denial or in pretending we are so holy. We have no ego thoughts. Rather, this is a course in saying, I am not holy, otherwise I would not be in this world. I have these ego thoughts, but now have the means within my mind to look at them another way. And that is what forgiveness is offering us. This whole lesson is about forgiveness, showing us another way to look at whatever thought is distressing me, whatever physical form seems to be just distressing me, to ask the Holy Spirit to help me see this differently. And that is beautiful. And I'm grateful, and I am going to turn it over to Sharon. Thanks for listening.
Wow, that was fabulous, Karen. Just fabulous. You are a wonderful teacher of God. You still hold to the truth no matter what. When we talk about the body mind, Helen Hamilton used to call it, she's a teacher that I had, the mind body vehicle. But it's an instrument that the spirit uses for us to communicate. But it's a distraction when the mind keeps giving us, saying, take that, take that, take that. That's what it sounds like you're going through, Karen. Like, take that, just get hit again and again and again. And all in all, it means nothing, but it does show you your commitment to truth. See, that's the most important part of the process, right? That we love the truth and we're committed to it. But, I have to say, sometimes this book and I had a very, I didn't have the relationship with the book until now that I do, like maybe even Lorri, I don't know. But I had a love-hate relationship with it because it wanted me to take responsibility and I didn't see it. I just didn't see it. I mean, come on, I'm a victim. I like it. I get attention that way. And these are all unconscious things that come up and you finally look at and say, wow, why did I like being a victim? Because nobody can yell at you. You can't get in trouble. That was one of the things that I really liked about my life. I couldn't really get in trouble because I always had someone to blame. And of course, I was blaming myself because it's only me here. So the game is over. But, when it comes to like tomorrow's lesson is this day I choose to spend in perfect peace. And that is something that comes organically. If an ego says that, you better believe you're going to see everything but peace, right? The ego says that it's going to give you everything you can to distract you. And I do believe sometimes we have pain because we are being distracted by this, mechanical maniac that is telling us that we're these bodies. I used to have a thought like, oh, how could I not be Sharon? I'm 70 years old. I mean, come on, I've been around. No. That's really not us because it's a thought. And the thoughts are mean. Now that I can really see all of them, really, I don't see all the subconscious. I'm sure there's so much more. I mean, I don't know how many thoughts we have, but I know that I've read that you can't know how many thoughts you have coming through your system because it's a thought universe. The universe is nothing without thought, right? The physical universe. But the unchangeable is here. And that's like the symphony or the beautiful, beautiful play that it's putting on. And it's always the saint and the sinner, right? The good and the bad. But we're all bad and we're all good. Because if we see a thought out there that's really evil, that's our thought. Because it's one consciousness. So, You know, tomorrow's lesson, it says that what Ken was saying, and I just want to just read a little bit of it. It does not seem if I can be at peace today because it is threatened at every turn. Now, this is what used to happen to me. The weather makes me unpeaceful. I used to get so upset. In my first marriage, I think that I was crazy when we would go down to Atlantic City because I wanted to have a sunny weekend. And I would whine, why is it not sunny? And why? Because I wanted a tan. But then when I'm on the beach, I want to make sure that my hair doesn't get messed up. Do you realize how much crazy shit we go through to be a human? It's ridiculous. Peace. We are allergic to peace. You know, it was like, let me just get tan. I don't want to. And I would say to my ex-husband, Ronnie, I'm upset now. And I'd be upset about things that didn't matter. Now, if it rains, and it did rain when we were away last weekend, and we enjoyed every minute of it. It was just peaceful. So, anyway, he says, the weather makes me unpeaceful, as does this person I live with or work with, not to mention the body in which I reside. Of course, I have stomach issues. Didn't you know that? When I eat, I get sick. I mean, it's like, it's all the time. There are always special things that impinge on me. God, if it were one of my kids, I would go, well, you already know, guys. Most of you know me well enough to know that I'm a Jewish mother. And they usually say Italian mothers and Jewish mothers are like the same. We are too nuts, neurotic, like, that's my kid. But you know, it's not my kid. My kid is the Christ, and I'm the Christ, right? And so no matter what happens to any of us, we're never left God. But, you know, Byron Katie years ago used to say things like, when I have one of her books that's about death, it's something, you know, when people die, and she goes, sure, you guys just want that one. And because she knew, I mean, really knew, I would say she's one of the beings on this planet that is completely, I would say if anyone's done, she is, but who knows. But at the bottom line is that she would say, why do you have to pick that one? Well, that's my father, or that's my husband. You can just realize that we are certifiably insane. I mean, when we think that this administration is insane, what the hell do you think we're doing? We're watching it because we're insane, because we believe it's real. So it's just hilarious just to say, I mean, the amount of like, I don't know, like, I canceled work for tomorrow because I don't feel well. No big deal. It's over. Who's going to go to work but the character? I want to help, you know, I'm helping, you know, in the schools. I enjoy being around children, but if I don't feel up to it, so what? It used to be like, oh my God, they were depending on me. So, you know, we all just sat around and told each other our ego thoughts, we'd be paying ourselves, right? But they'd all be the same. Anyway, with that, I'm going to turn it over to you. And I can say, let's salute Ken Wapnick, because he's everybody's teacher in this group. You know, he is someone that really did say this is a process. And I think he got upset because I do have the one thing that says living the course. And he did say, you know, you don't push people. It's a process, because he knew. Yeah, there are some people that have been doing this and they get it quicker, but who knows what their unfolding means? We don't know at anyone's process except that they're us. That mirror is there for us to say, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. There you go. Anyway, over to you, Doug. Dove, I don't think your mic's okay.
Okay, Sally has her hand up also.
Oh, go ahead,
Oh,
Sally, go ahead, go.
And you're muted, Sally.
Sally, you're muted.
Or you're not muted, but I don't hear you. Switch to your other mic. I think we had that problem yesterday. Okay.
We do not hear you, Sally.
Yeah, she knows that.
Oh,
I think she's indicating that she's not, there's nothing, she don't know what to do. So anyway, go ahead, Dove.
Maybe call me on my phone. I think you have my phone number. If you want. I think you have my phone number. That's how you got here. But okay. make a long story short, as we get down to the last couple of minutes. Actually, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh yeah, I did want to make a very quick announcement. Next today is Thankful Thursday, which we all love, and Zoom is on next. She's on at 9:30 in a few minutes, and I think she goes to 11. And I don't know exactly, but Karen and I are starting next Thankful Thursday next week. And Karen, correct me if I'm right or wrong.
I thought you said the 25th.
Isn't the next? Oh, it's the 4th. I thought it was the 3rd. It's just okay. So it's
You can do it next week.
No, it's the 25th, Lynn. You're right. It's the 25th.
Okay,
okay.
good, because that's what I got on the schedule.
Okay. All right. I'm going to announce it anyway. So we're going to do the final 20 lessons. It's going to take 20 weeks to do it. So that's like 4 months. And lessons 181 to 200. And Jesus says in review number 6, which follows lesson 200, he says, any one of these 20 lessons is the entire course. And I got to tell you, every time I get there, I say, I don't know why I do all 365. Jesus, the author of the course, is telling me that any one of these 20 lessons is the whole course. I ought to just start with lesson 181 and go to 200, and then every 20 days go back to 181 and do the whole course all over again. I actually think of that. And then finally, Karen and I did the Justice of God, chapter 25, about a year and a half ago, I think. And I said, it's time that we did something together again. And and she said, yeah, let's do that. So I'm announcing, I guess it starts on September 25th, and we hope to see you. It should be fun. We're going to take lesson 181, the first lesson, and do that. And maybe we'll try, because these lessons are long and we only have an hour. So we'll try and select that part of the lessons, unless we have, usually there's a lot of sharing going on. So we'll try and select that part of the lesson that really gives us the in-depth levels that he's talking about. So I just want to announce that we're just about there. I'm going to turn this mic back on over to anyone who wants it.
I'm just going to say thank you so much, Dove, for that. I mean, that's going to be great. I'm really looking forward to it. And they're going to make nice, definitely helpful for people. And as you probably well know me, if you get past 181 and haven't become fully awakened in 181, to me is like, this is the key to the whole course. So, but every single one of those lessons, you're right, all of them, we quote from these lessons more often than any other lessons in the book. Every single one of them is something that is just really right on. So, Jesus was a good teacher, or Helen was a good teacher and knew how to construct a lesson plan that would actually move you forward to the truth of our reality. So I'm really grateful you guys are going to do that, because yeah, that's going to be awesome. And yeah, I hope we can get an hour. That'll make nice chunks for people to come and listen to, that's for sure. And I've been enjoying Leon, Joel Russell, and Luigi and Stephen. For some reason, my mind said Stephen King, but you know who I'm talking about. Have done the manual for teachers, and it's really wonderful to be able to just log in and listen to their podcast. So I hope people will enjoy that about ours as well. So I'm excited. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close off this YouTube. If you're listening on YouTube, please like and subscribe so that you will get to know every time we're going to be on live, which we are many times a day, many times a week. And you can join us. Come in here and hang out and